were fought for control of Azerbaijan's Armenian-populated region of Karabakh. The first took place, as we know, at the end of the Soviet Union, and the second took place in 2020, before Azerbaijan took control of its territory in September 2023. Last month, both Baku and Yerevan agreed on a peace deal, which is ready for signing. Tell us, what's standing in the way of the agreement being finalized so that it can be implemented?
Thank you. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be a part of Antalya Diplomacy Forum. So I had a chance to participate in all forums, and we're very pleased and happy with the ever-growing role of Antalya Diplomacy Forum, and this becomes truly the center of discussions about the most pressing issues in the global agenda. And I would like, first of all, to thank my esteemed colleague and brother, Minister Hakan Fidan, for the invitation, and congratulate him and his team for the excellent organization of the forum. So back to your question, so you are absolutely right that as a result of the end of the armed conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan in the region in South Caucasus, the historical opportunities for normalization appeared. And right after the end of the 44 days patriotic war and liberation of Azerbaijani previously occupied territories, shortly after this, Azerbaijan suggested to Armenia to start the normalization process and start talking about the peace agreement. So it was Azerbaijani initiative back in 2021 at the beginning. In February 2022, Azerbaijan proposed 5 basic principles for the future peace agreement. And starting from October 2022, we start physical, let's say, engagement with the Armenian side, many rounds of negotiations, exchange of documents in respect of the draft text. And as you correctly mentioned, last month, we, two parties, after almost 2.5 years, concluded the text of the peace agreement, which we consider extremely important development and serious milestone. About the further steps which are necessary in order to be implemented for the full finalization of this process, a signing of the peace agreement. So this is again long-standing and consistent position of the Republic of Azerbaijan, which is our counterparts, our partners in Armenia are well aware. This is, first of all, to dissolve the obsolete and dysfunctional Minsk process-related institutions, better known to the public as a Minsk group, but in reality this is a bit wider. And of course, at the same time, to make necessary changes to Armenian constitution in order to eliminate territorial claims to Azerbaijan. So we believe that with these necessary steps, there will be no additional obstacles in the way of finalization and signing of the agreement on establishment of peace and interstate relation between two countries.
Ararат Mիրզոյան, after Azerbaijan and Armenia successfully wrapped up peace talks last month, your foreign ministry issued a statement saying that the peace agreement is ready for signing. You've just heard from your Azerbaijani counterpart some of the concerns that Baku has before signing this deal. Is Yerevan willing to address those concerns? And what issues do you have with the deal, if any?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I would also join my colleague in expressing appreciation to the organizers of this fantastic diplomatic forum. Coming to your question, You know, it's a matter of an approach. I don't think that digging too deep into the past would be constructive right now and would help all of us to come to a constructive and beneficial for everybody solutions. I would rather prefer to focus on the present and on the future, because if we focus on the obstacles, if we focus on the issues of history, if we start discussing which territory belonged to whom, I don't know, 100 years ago, or who killed more people of the other nationality, I think we would jointly come to another conflict. Meanwhile, the desire of the government of the Republic of Armenia and the people of Armenia, at least from our side, is to build lasting peace in our region, including, and first of all, we are discussing the relations and normalization with Azerbaijan. You are completely right. We succeeded, after long negotiations, we succeeded to agree over the text of draft peace agreement. And we also suggested to immediately start consultations on aiming to define the venue and the time, the data for signing the peace agreement. Is this peace agreement, is the agreed text answering to all possible questions? Of course not. And I believe there is no single agreement in the world that answers to all possible questions and covers all possible issues. This is a basis, this is a start of relations. And of course, there are many remaining issues, and we can continue our discussion regarding all issues. We can continue exploring new possibilities of cooperation, because it's just a start. And it's important to note that in this agreed text of the agreement, we have a provision which says that we are establishing a bilateral commission to discuss all the other issues, including the, I don't know, issues that may rise regarding the interpretation of this or that provision of the agreement, discussion of many other possible issues. And again, it's a matter of a decision, it's a matter of an approach. What are we as ministers of foreign affairs during this panel discussion suggest to our societies? What are we as countries suggest to the region, to the world? Is that digging again into the past, or building a joint future and prosperity for our citizens? So we are confident that we have all the preconditions, positive preconditions, to sign this agreement, to start a new stage of dialogue, a new level, or if I may, an open new era of relations, of peaceful relations and prosperity in South Caucasus and beyond, in larger region. So this is our approach. Minister Bayramov spoke about very concrete conditions or preconditions. You know, the Minsk structures. We have expressed several times our readiness to initiate the process of dissolution of Minsk structures. These structures can be dissolved when there is no conflict. So this is an interesting question. Do we have a conflict now or not? On the ground, no. We don't have a de facto conflict. On the papers, we don't have an agreement on establishment of peace and interstate relations signed and ratified. So we can continue to philosophize on this issue, but the solution for us, at least for us, is obvious. We should sign the agreement, put an end to this conflict in an institutional way, dissolve on the very same day, if you want. In the same, 10 minutes, one document after the other. And I'm not even saying which document should be the first. Let's sign the peace treaty. Let's sign a joint application to OSCE member states or the Secretariat about the dissolution. Let's establish the bilateral commission, which I was talking about, and start discussion of all possible questions. Minister Bayramov spoke also about the constitution of Armenia. Okay, if you want, I can say, we do have a concern regarding the constitution of Republic of Azerbaijan, and we are not saying this just to have the in the principle of mirroring the issues. We are not saying this to have an equal condition or concern. I can explain. The Constitution of Republic of Armenia makes a reference to the Act of Independence, the document, in which this Republic of Azerbaijan declares itself to be the successor of First Azerbaijani Republic. And we all know that the First Azerbaijani Republic declared its sovereignty over much larger territories than today's Azerbaijani Republic, including, I don't know, around or more than 60% of current sovereign Armenian territories. So again, it's a matter of approach. From which end are we beginning? Are we going to have all answers to all possible questions and only then establish relations? Or we are building on what we already have accomplished? Because, you know, we have an unprecedented situation. Armenia and Azerbaijan, again, please focus on this issue. Armenia and Azerbaijan have agreed on a text of an agreement between them, acknowledging each other's territorial integrity within borders which existed by the time, at the moment of the dissolution of Soviet Union. This sentence answers to so many questions and so many concerns. Are we going to build on this, or we are going to undermine this very tangible historic accomplishment and then bring another issue to the table of negotiations, another issue? It could become a never-ending process. Are we focusing on future or on the past? This is the conclusion.
So, Minister Mիրզոյանի, it sounds like you want the agreement to be signed and the issues to be ironed out at a later date. But we heard Minister Bayramov mention that constitutional change that you just addressed, in which the Armenian constitution currently states that Karabakh is a part of Armenia. Do you acknowledge that that might be a concern for Baku?
Thank you very much for this issue. So I am officially saying, and our constitution is a public document. You can check and correct me if I'm mistaken, but I assure you I'm not mistaken. There is nothing in the Constitution of Republic of Armenia saying that Karabakh is part of Armenia. There is nothing. In the contrary, I said that we have our own concerns regarding the Azerbaijani constitution. But again, why aren't we raising this issue continuously on and on? Because in the very same text of agreement, we have a specific provision, not only recognizing several provisions. One recognizes our respective territorial integrities in a way which is fully acceptable for you and for us as well, because we agreed on that. And also we have a provision saying that none of the parties can refer to their internal legislations in order to justify failure of implementation of this agreement. I mean, it's really covered, and the shortest way to answer to all questions, cover all possible obstacles, concerns, is signing and ratification of this agreement.
Okay, Minister Bayramov, you've just heard the response there from your Armenian counterpart. Do you accept that? Might you consider signing the agreement and sorting out the issues that either side may have at a later date?
Actually, there are two fundamental problems with what Minister Mիրզոյանի mentioned. First of all, Minister Mիրզոյանի said that in Armenian constitution there is no reference to the territory of Azerbaijan. And I want to clarify, because I don't want to play with words. But there is an act of independence of the Republic of Armenia, which says about reunification of part of the territory of Azerbaijan, de jure and de facto, with the Republic of Armenia. And the Armenian constitution makes a reference to the act of independence. And based on these, let's say, pieces of legislation, I mean the fundamental norms of the Armenian legislation, which is the constitution, many dozens of different lower tier normative legal acts, decision has been adopted over the last 30 years, confirming the same narrative. Talking about the specifics of the peace agreement. In reality, yes, peace agreement addresses many issues, but again, this is also a well-known fact that no matter what you include in the peace agreement, your peace agreement, being the part of your international obligation, will prevail over your domestic legislation, but not constitution or any other act adopted by referendum. Which means that if we just, trying to simplify the situation, will only, focus on a peace agreement without resolving the situation with constitution, it means that from day one, peace agreement will be nil and void, because it will be contradictory to the main law of the country, which is not the case. Another thing, what Azerbaijan is saying, this is from legal standpoint. From, let's say, strategical point of view, from political point of view, this is also important, taking into consideration that it was always, let's say, the narrative, it was the fundament of Armenian legislation. This is also important just to understand the approach and position of Armenian people, Armenian public in respect of this. Whether, how they consider this, whether this, the population is ready to eliminate territorial claims to its neighbors or not. Then another important element from what Azerbaijan is saying, and by the way, so this is not some new, let's say, precondition from Azerbaijani side. We are raising this issue for the period of more than 2 years. In May 2023, during one of our meetings in United States, we submitted official document to this extent to our Armenian counterparts, but verbally we discussed this even before, just, for you. We did, two stuff in parallel, peace agreement talks and raising this issue. Another important element, so what we are saying, this is not something extraordinary in the modern history of other countries. Even if you look to the European continent, there are a number of cases when, because of these or similar problem, having some problems with the neighboring countries, the countries actually went to the referendum and made the changes in their constitution. So there is nothing extraordinary or, let's say, maximalistic from Azerbaijani, position. And then back to the last argument from Minister Mիրզոյան's statement about, let's say, similar concerns of the Armenian side about Azerbaijani constitutions. First of all, it does not represent the reality. Azerbaijani constitution does not contain any geographical name or territory of the modern Republic of Armenia. And I think our Armenian counterparts, they are very well aware, because otherwise they would definitely raise this issue, because the legal system of Armenia, legal system of Azerbaijan, legal system of Turkey and all these countries, this is more or less the same. You cannot enter into international agreements if they are contradictory to the constitution of the country. So I don't believe that our Armenian counterparts, they are sincerely believe that Azerbaijani constitution contains territorial claim to Armenia, and at the same time, they never raised this before, and they just ignore this fact, because this is really strange. Because if you believe that the constitution of the other country has a territorial claim to your country, then you only pretend that you are signing, let's say, peace agreement which will handle this situation, because it will be open. Because no international agreement can change or remain the obstacle which is part of your constitution.
So, Minister Mիրզոյան, before I get George's perspective on this, is your government willing to consider possible changes to the constitution, even though it might be domestically unpopular?
Once again, thank you for your for this opportunity to reply to my colleague's remark, because I thought you would immediately ask a question to our distinguished Georgian colleague, and I'm very sorry, Maka, but I must reply. So if we go into legal, or if you want, legalistic details, then I will now give a very short explanation. You know, legally, indeed, there is a reference in our preambular part of our constitution, but there is a reference to our Act of Declaration of Independence. No, but legally, only those provisions of our Declaration of Independence have legal significance and are imperative, only those that are literally quoted in the text in the body of Constitution. That sentence about which our colleagues from Azerbaijan have concerns is not quoted in our Constitution. There is only a general reference to the Declaration of Independence, saying that based on Declaration of Independence, the people of Armenia declares this, and then the body of Constitution. So, again, legally, in the world, there is only one body that has the right to interpret, to comment our Constitution, and it is the Constitutional Court of the Republic of Armenia. And last September, our Constitutional Court gave a conclusion regarding another document which was signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan, the regulation of joint works of respective border commissions on delimitation, basically. And in this regulation, it is mentioned that the delimitation is taking place on the basis of Almaty Declaration, which says the same, more or less the same sentence, that our borders are the same borders that existed between us as Soviet Socialist republics at the time of dissolution of Soviet Union. So once, last September, our Constitutional Court said, and it is a public document, that this principle, the principle of borders, which also means that we do not have territorial claims beyond that borders, this principle is fully complying to our Constitution, and that's it. So now, if we sign this treaty, this again, within the process of ratification, this agreement will go to the Constitutional Court. If our Constitutional Court once again says that this document complies with our Constitution, another proof that the issue is covered, addressed, there is no obstacle. If theoretically our Constitutional Court will say something else, that will be another situation. We will come back to you and we will discuss other possibilities. That's it. But again, you know, it's a matter of political will, it's a matter of orientation, it's a matter of focusing the subject on which we are focusing. Are we building peace? Are we going to use the opportunities, or are we going to close the process having the concerns? If we do have will to use the opportunities, we will find a way. By the way, and again, yeah, that's it.